Welcome back to the Future Leaders podcast, where we help you gain insights into the minds of successful entrepreneurs. Today we are joined here with an absolute rock star, Carlo. He helps successful CEOs and high-level executives, such as well as elite sportsmen, embody their king energy and perform at their best self. Thanks so much for joining us, Carlo.
Great to be here, boys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Cheers.
So, who is Carlo?
So that's a big loaded question. Carlo's a lot of things. I run a company called the Kingmaker, and one of the things that we do is we help elite CEOs and executives in business, but also elite sport coaches to step into their king self. And specifically, we work through something called the nice person syndrome, which we found to be the number one most debilitating problem that stops the business and success process. So I live on the Sunshine Coast, got two beautiful kids, and run a beautiful coaching company, which is a lot of fun, and get to do beautiful things like this.
Cool. So what does that Kingmaker energy mean? Like, can we dive into that a little bit more? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the king self, we all have two versions of ourselves. There is what I call the king self, which is your ultimate best self version of you. And then there's what I call the bitch self, which is that version of us that we all have that we know is not our best. That one that is the complainer, the victim, the wimp, the one that holds us back from actually being who we know we can be and be at the standard that we're capable of. And I struggled with it for years. I realized that I'm actually a recovering people pleaser, and so for me, going through the process of going from nice guy, nice person to king self has completely transformed my life. And before we're talking about what is the concept of king energy is that state of being that you feel on the inside when you have total certainty and total self-trust within yourself that allows you to show up in every part of life with that grounded energy, that peace of mind, because you know who you are and you're able to show up and be everything that you can be and perform at your very best when it counts. That's king energy. And a lot of people, I know you have a lot of women that listen and like, oh, does he only work with men? No, that's not the point. That point is that we can call it king self, we can call it queen self. The concept is the same, the energy is the same. It's that version of you that absolutely kicks ass, dominates, creates success, and shows up in the absolute best version of itself, away from that little bitch self.
So how long have you been creating this king version of yourself? You've obviously spent a lot of time on it. How long have you been working on this concept, or especially on yourself as well?
Yeah, so I'll take you back into my journey a little bit so you get a bit of context. I grew up in Italy. I moved to Melbourne when I was 14. I didn't speak a word of English. I got bullied really hard as a teen coming into school. And in order to survive, a couple of things happened. I picked up the language really, really quickly, right? Cool. So you can't hear the accent. But the other thing that happened is that I had to change who I was in order to fit in, right? Yeah, and as young men growing up, we know that we feel like we need to change who we are at our core in order to succeed or fit in or be cool or be accepted. So when I was 18, after year 12, I had probably the world's worst enter score, right? Whatever we call it here in Queensland. And we traveled back to my hometown in Italy, and that's when my coaching journey really began. I was standing at the fence of the soccer pitch that I grew up on as a kid. My first love as a kid was pasta. My second was pizza, and my third was football, soccer.
That's
right?
the Italian coming out.
That's Italian, right? I told you. So,
Nonno's favourite.
Yeah, 100%. And on top of that, to that point, I grew up with a single mum. I grew up in a house with my mum, my grandma, and my auntie. So food was everywhere. So I was the kid that I was the fat kid, the chubby kid, right? Loved sport, loved people, loved to just play, but I lacked a lot of confidence. And I also lacked that male role model. I lacked role models that, you look up to as boys, you're looking for it. I didn't have that. But sport became that place for me, right? Where I felt safe. And so when I was watching these kids train, it's almost like I had this spiritual experience where my whole life up until that moment flashed before me. And I was like, oh man, this is what I'm called. I feel like I'm meant to be doing. And it was two things. One was to help kids, people, become the best version of themselves. And second was to help coaches become the best they could be, so they then could impact even more people. So at 18, English as a second language, no business, no marketing, sales, education background, I started a business. And I remember like it was yesterday, my dad, who was an accountant, registered my business name, and I thought, well, here we go. People are going to start rolling in. I'm going to put up a Facebook post and things are going to, all of a sudden I'm going to have money, I'm going to have clients. Yeah. It didn't happen for 18 months. Different story. We can go into it if you want. But really, that was the moment I thought, okay, I saw my past and I saw my childhood. I'm like, man, I want to help improve it. And I realized that in order to do that, I had to be the best version of me. So I was 18, 19 and thinking, man, if this business is going to succeed, I need to be the best version of me. And so that kind of began the process, and took me 10 years of the best. And this is why I resonate with what you guys are doing so much, and I believe in what you're doing, because I walked the path. I was there. I was in business. I know what it's like to walk into a room and think, man, like, I'm the youngest one here. Who's going to take me serious? Who thinks like me? All my friends are out clubbing, partying, doing stuff. I'm here trying to build my business on a Saturday morning, not having money, seeing everyone else doing all the things, and I'm like, man, I'm dead broke trying to create something. So that's kind of been the journey, and I always knew that if I was going to succeed, it was going to be because of who I was. And so the journey continued. The 10 years was most incredible apprenticeship. I lived on $3.62 an hour. I did the calculation. For 10 years, the what it worked out to be was $3.62 an hour.
So how did you live on that?
It was very difficult. I got married in that time. My wife was supporting me. We had a daughter. We still have her. And she's still there. Very much still there. It was evident that something wasn't right, right? Because I couldn't figure it out. I remember thinking, why is it that I work so hard, that I'm so passionate about this thing? I'm putting heart and soul, blood, sweat and tears into this 6.5 days a week, smiling, being happy, serving, giving, caring. Why am I not winning? And I grew really frustrated and really resentful. Not of anyone else, but just life in general. Because I couldn't understand, why is it that everything that I learned from everywhere, society, my upbringing, religion, all of this, why wasn't it working? What's wrong with me, right? There must be something wrong with me because I'm doing all this stuff. Why am I not winning? And so I went away and worked on it. And I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent. Catch me, because this is what I do.
I like this. It's interesting because I feel like I just went through that phase.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how you answer.
You're playing
and also I feel context is important because there's so much to it. So anyway, I went away and worked on myself. I learned about personal development. I remember the first time I did a meditation, I couldn't stop giggling because I thought, like, what the hell is this thing?
I've been in the exact same position before. When I was boxing, my coach was very adamant after sparring, before sparring was, meditation before, calming your body, calming your heart rate. Yeah. And I remember when I first started, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This is stupid. This isn't going to help. Yeah. And then I remember I sat there and one time I was doing meditation. I ended up getting goosebumps while I was doing it. And I just felt like a cold shiver, and I was like, wow. Okay. Yeah. And I think that was the moment where it clicked for me, is like, okay, there's a deeper meaning to it, even though people may think, manifestation and the kind of mindset space is a bit, what's the word? Woo-woo.
Wanky.
Wanky, yeah. I think it does have its place as well.
I think it's got more than its place.
Yeah.
My belief is that it's everything.
Yeah.
And just to finish kind of that little story for the context around your question around when did you start working on yourself, I realized that there was a few key areas that really changed my life. One was understanding the psychology of money. The other one was mindset.
Yeah.
And the third one was probably unpacking the nice person syndrome. When I realized that I was the typical nice guy, frustrated, resentful nice guy. Completely changed my life, and it's a lot of people pleasing habits. So hence why I'm saying I'm a recovering people pleaser. I've got no issue.
I want to touch on that. You mentioned about stop being a people pleaser, and you mentioned king energy. How do you stop yourself from getting labelled like egotistical, cocky, arrogant?
Great question.
I just really want to quickly add on to that.
Yeah.
Because I find myself a bit of a people pleaser.
Yes.
How do you? how do you?
You are.
Yeah.
And you know why I know that?
Tell me.
Because you guys have an incredible studio and you've done an incredible job. You said the word sorry 15 times.
Yeah.
So there is a Kingmakerism. There's a standard at the Kingmaker. We have abolished the word sorry.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why. Because the word sorry, what we're trying to do, and people in hospitality, young people, right? What we're trying to do is actually make the other person feel good. And so we want to say sorry. It's a form of pleasing. But what it actually does the opposite. It actually fills the whole environment and yourself with a weak energy of just like being a little weak ass. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So what we do, we abolish it. So here's what we're going to do for this podcast. Every time he says sorry, you're going to slap him.
10
right?
push-ups.
Yeah, we have a 10
Yeah,
push-up
great.
rule,
10 push-up.
yeah.
That's perfect, right? Yeah. And what you're going to do, instead of saying the word sorry, replace it with the word thank you. It does the exact same thing.
It's like the no yes game.
So it does the exact same thing, but the energy completely changes, and it does something that I call keeping your personal power. Because every time you say sorry, you give it away. You lower yourself, like comparison. Right, you think of someone, you compare it, and you don't only elevate them, you actually shrink yourself.
Yeah.
You're a king, you don't shrink.
So, but, putting that into context, if I was like,
Yes.
this doesn't count, but if I was like, oh, sorry, I just need to adjust my camera, instead
Yes.
of like, thank you, I need to adjust my camera, is that like...
You just say, I need to adjust my camera.
Hey, thank you so much for your patience. I'm just going to fix this.
Love it.
The person
Okay.
that hears that, they go like, I feel good about myself. I'm important. You kind of stroke their ego a little bit. You make them feel good because that's what you're trying to do anyway.
Yeah.
But what
Love
it does for you, it doesn't shrink you.
Yeah.
Right? Shrinkage is never good. Right? So that was a joke. Okay, never mind. We're gonna have some fun with this.
Right now.
So it doesn't. You don't shrink yourself. You don't diminish yourself, and we do it inadvertently. This is what I'm saying around the people pleasing stuff. It's so ingrained. It's so subconscious that when we start to shed a light on it, we go, oh my goodness. Because I get a lot of people, they go, hey, I'm not a people pleaser. Especially CEOs and executives. I'm not a people pleaser. Okay, so hey, of course you're not. Right? Cool. And then I say, hey, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Yes. What is that? Right? So that's around that. I'll come back to your question because that's a great question. And that's something that I really struggle with initially. And I really believe that people that see someone standing in their king self and that they're assertive, they're grounded, they're confident in themselves, which I feel like we need to define confidence.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants it, right? Who knows what it is?
I think it's your own definition of what confidence is.
Okay, so what's confidence to you?
Confidence is me by being able to walk into the boardroom and actually be able to communicate across my message.
Interesting. What's confidence to you?
Just owning yourself, your
Owning
own presence.
yourself. All right, already we've got two different things. What about for you?
I think Mosey's definition is...
No. you leave Homozy doing Homozy things. What about you? What do you believe? What's your interpretation?
Of... Yeah, being comfortable enough to do whatever you want when you want.
Comfortable to do whatever you want when you want. Yep.
That was going to be my exact answer. Being
Okay.
comfortable in any environment you're in.
Interesting. 4 different things, huh? Interesting. So if we say your event, hey, who wants more confidence? Everyone's going to put their hand up.
Yeah.
Who can tell me what confidence is? So we're chasing this thing that we don't actually really know what it is, but we know we want it. The definition of confidence is trust in self.
Yeah.
Right? So because I've got a bit of a genius brain, some people call it ADHD, right? I call it genius brain. Because again, we don't shrink. So
I like that.
when we understand the definition, now we've got clarity and we can go get it. The reason for that is that the people that call confidence arrogance are people that don't have it.
100%.
Correct.
I agree with that.
And because they're intimidated by it. And instead of actually help working themselves to be more confident, they do that by defending themselves by taking someone else down, right?
Yeah.
So when you're in this is I love this shit, right? To me, this journey is all about purpose and vision, right? So what I talk to leaders about, future leaders, current leaders, it's always about keeping purpose and vision above pleasing. I'll say it again. It's about keeping purpose and vision above pleasing. This is why leadership is hard. This is why people pleasing is the number one most debilitating problem that leaders face. Your audience is future leaders. If you can learn this in your 20s, it took me 10 years of working 6.5 days a week, 6 in the morning till 10 at night.
Yeah.
Right? And I struggle with this shit. Like, it's really real for me. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It cost me money. It cost me the amount of mental burnouts, cycles that I went through, mental burnout, stress, chronic stress. I got shingles due to stress. And it came down to this. If you want me to go into the making of it, I'm happy to. But this is why I'm so passionate about it. Because leaders, right? And I mentioned I work in elite sport. I'm just going to use that example because I feel like it's easy to understand. So in elite sport, you've got a head coach, right? You've got a CEO and director above them that control, and then you've got a board, right? So they're up here, but they've got people above them that they need to keep happy. Then they've got assistant coaches, right?
Yeah.
Let's say there's 5 of them, and then there is backroom staff, 20 people.
Water
Then-
runners, all that type of stuff.
Physios, all the medical, all of it, right? Nutritionists, etc. Just kicked you.
That's all right.
And then you've got players. So you've got 30 players, maybe something like that. Now, each assistant coach has got a family. They've got kids. Each medical person has got family, got kids. Each player has probably got a partner, right? Or 2 or 3, who knows? And then some of them have kids. So all of a sudden, and then that coach has also got family, has got a wife, partner, whatever, and kids. Then they got friends, family. So all of a sudden, that one leader is directly responsible for how many people?
Yeah.
150?
Yeah.
200? Easily. Okay? Quick maths. So now all of a sudden that leader is responsible for 200 people. But there is this thing in leadership that, hey, first of all, I don't need any help, right? But also there's a view from the external world that, that leader's got this shit figured out. You don't. At any level, you don't. And especially for people like us who are high-performing people, the higher you climb, the more shit finds you.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
The faster a train goes, the more shitty flies it hits, more shit it picks up, right? So as a leader, we need that support. But when you have so much pressure, and then let's say in sport, it's also public, right? So people, you're in the media all the time. You have the scrutiny. So all of a sudden, not just 200 people, then you got all the fans, and then the public that always has an opinion. Think about that for a second. Think about that pressure, right? It's so easy to go into and just try and keep everyone happy. But if you keep everyone happy, you're not fulfilling the purpose and the vision, because in order to fulfill that purpose and vision, you guys are the same. You've got a purpose and vision with the Forged.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone.
No.
Why? Because if you do, you're not hitting the purpose and your vision. That's why we need to develop our king self, our certainty, and be so locked in on our purpose and our vision, because otherwise you get distracted by your phone, by people, by what they want. And if you focus on that, you're not going to focus on what you really want to create.
I love this.
So this is literally, for your success, this is life or death.
You've mentioned obviously your king self, which comes
Yep.
across quite confident within
Yes.
itself. It's got a
Yep.
meaning to it, you
Yep.
know. If
Great.
on social media someone's like, "You're a king,"
Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it back.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing. I appreciate it, because this is what I do, right?
Yeah,
It's cool. So here's the thing: being a king is never been a king over someone else. It's
Yeah.
always been a king over yourself.
Mhm.
Okay, that's number one. But when you're in your true king self, you are also very grounded. Why? Because you have peace of mind. Why? Because you can only really get to your king and queen self when you have self-respect and self-trust. It's all about that relationship with yourself, becoming integrated. Okay? Becoming integrated and actually looking in the mirror and being able to look at the person in the mirror and know that you respect that person. When we go out and we go into the arrogance and the dark ego, right? Ego is good. We want it. We want to use it. But it's when it becomes arrogance on the outside, pushing someone down to make yourself feel better. That's when it becomes toxic, an issue. But a true king is relaxed. It doesn't need to be the loudest in the room. Why? Because he knows who she is.
Yeah.
I don't need you to call me a king.
Yeah,
because I know I am. I don't need. You can label me whatever you want because I already know that you're gonna label me based upon what you know.
Yeah.
And you're gonna reveal yourself, and you're gonna reveal the level that you're at, right? But if I know me, I'm at peace. I'm calm. The lion is always calm. Why? Because he knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
The hyena might speak behind his back, but guess what? Doesn't give a shit. You know why? Because he knows who he is.
Yeah.
So we're always searching for our relationship. See, for me, I didn't have that. So I had to go and do all the show. I was wearing a suit, but I wasn't wearing a suit because it made me feel good.
Yeah.
I was wearing a suit because you would look at me and think, oh, he's balling.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Right now, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so at peace because I know me. And the only way that I can know me is because I see myself doing hard shit every day.
Yeah.
That's what gives you the certainty and the groundedness to be calm and to have that certainty. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. This is something that I've just thought of myself. So we talk about stop saying sorry.
Yeah.
Build that king energy within yourself and your king self.
Is that one?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So when you're saying sorry, I really believe it comes from when you're first born and your parents and you've done something wrong and your parents are like, all right, say sorry for what you've done. Say sorry for this. Say sorry for that. So then when you're brought up, you feel like you need to be apologetic for doing something wrong or apologetic for, taking the last bit of cake, if that makes sense. So how have you been able to raise your kids in understanding the definition between apologizing when it's the right time and apologizing for something that doesn't need to be necessarily done because they feel scared that dad's going to be angry at them?
Yeah.
That's such a good question.
It's a really good question. You're not wrong. And I can go into it. Because I believe context is important. We need to, if we have an understanding, we go, crap, because I felt that for me. So to answer to your question, kids don't listen, right? Yeah. You didn't listen to your parents. He's laughing because he knows, right? They emulate. Leadership, just like parenting, just like business, it's really about energy. It's all it is, right? Because again, no one listens. It's too easy to talk. It's too easy to say the stuff. But it's a completely different thing to walk the talk.
Yeah.
And you know that when someone walks the talk, they don't need to speak, and you go, they can be in a room and you go, what's about this person? They just walk in, you feel that aura. So with our kids, how do we do it? One is that we model it, okay? And it's programmed in. You guys get the concept of subconscious program?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Good. So it's programmed in. Sometimes it comes up. And then once it comes up, like, sorry. Oh, man, okay, I'll call myself. Whoops. This is what I meant, right? Yeah. And they get it. When they see us living our life, they start copying it. When my wife has just started coaching as well, which is awesome. And when my daughter was actually listening to my wife on her first coaching session, and my wife was still telling her client about like this little mirror exercise, and Scarlett, my daughter, who's 7, heard her, went to the bathroom and did that exercise, right? Which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's the power that we have by modeling, by actually walking our talk. So there is a difference, right? But we need to understand and say, okay, first of all, if we're modeling in a certain way, then how we teach in the moment where typically we would have gone and said, sorry, we don't force it to apologize. We frame the question and say, hey, listen, when we do that, what should we do?
Yeah.
In our family, the Kingcarini family, what do we do when we mess up?
Yeah.
Right? I actually teach them to actually not say the word sorry.
Yeah.
Apologetic is the perfect term, because again, what we were saying before, if you live in that shitty, weak ass, little bitchy, sorry energy, you live apologetic.
Yeah.
But you live apologetically about everything, right? And it's the worst way to live. My pet peeve, right, is this: I cannot stand victims and wimps, complainers. I call it bitches. Right? And it's a facetious term, but you need to understand what I'm trying to say,
I get what
right?
you're saying, yeah.
So wimps, people that just live apologetically and just like, I don't, it just irks me. I cannot stand it. That's why I said it with love for you, because
Yeah,
I can
for sure.
tell that you're freaking great at what you do and you got nothing to be apologetic about, right? And a simple change from sorry to thank you, it's got a completely different frequency, completely different vibration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just quickly on that, if like, I'm gonna start taking a mental note now of that. But what's some other ways, myself or even people listening that could have this issue could work on? Do you have any like techniques?
Simple technique would simply be, first of all, be aware of it if you're switched on it. But and once you understand, like, oh man, that's the meaning behind it. It makes sense to me. Okay, let me just pay attention to it. So one exercise that I do with golfers, right, elite golfers that have habits that no longer serve them, is I never tell them to stop saying it, right? That's why I told you to reframe it to thank you. But what if you were to make a mental note or a mark, or keep a little piece of paper and say, okay, just mark it down. Don't even write what it is. Just mark it down every time you catch yourself saying sorry, right? And let's say tomorrow's Friday, you catch yourself doing it 3 times, 10 times, 20 times. Doesn't matter. We're not judging it. But just look at it. Then do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And then you see how many times you're doing it. Without trying, you're going to see it come down, right? And then you see yourself stepping into and feeling like a freaking badass. You feel more powerful. You keep your personal power. You're not giving it away to everyone. And all of a sudden, when you feel better, you keep your personal power. You feel more certain. You feel more valuable. You feel actually worthy. And you realize, man, actually, I feel powerful within myself. I'm not going to accept this standard anymore. That thing that you allowed. We actually have a leadership assessment that gives 4 people pleaser profiles, right? One is accommodating, the accommodator, right? We have such low standards because we're living in this little weak ass energy that we accept all sorts of shit. And it's eating up inside, and then we know that we're allowing it, and then we feel even more shit because we're not doing anything about it, and like, and so you kick yourself and you become frustrated and resentful.
Yeah.
So that's a simple strategy. Drop and do 10 push-ups every time you see it. And I know you guys are doing 75 hard. Perfect. That challenge is all about mental toughness. It's about locking in. It's about being conscious and aware.
So we were talking before about how it kind of starts from childhood. Can you talk and touch on a little bit as to how the kind of NICE syndrome starts?
Yeah, of course. And it's this is where it really kind of clicked in for me, and I really understood it. So there are 2 factors that begin to create the making of the nice person syndrome. Okay, so we have to go back to childhood. So we know that in the first 0 to 7 years, our brain is in theta brain state, so it's in download mode. And what we need to also understand for context is that we are born into an imperfect world to imperfect but loving people. Okay, so this isn't a blame game, right? This is more of like, hey, let's get aware around how this thing actually happens. So the first factor that we need to understand is that when we're born totally helpless. Okay, kids are born into an imperfect world to imperfect but loving people, and totally helpless, which means that in order for us to survive, we need our guardians, our parents, our mum and dad, our people around us to meet our needs. So the first factor that we need to focus on and we need to understand is that when we're born totally helpless. Okay, all kids are born totally helpless, which means that we need our guardians, our parents, those responsible for us to meet our needs. And our needs are really everything to us. Because again, we need someone else to keep us alive. We can't do it ourselves, right? You guys all drive and we drive. Imagine if we couldn't take care of ourselves. Like, we're independent, we want to do it ourselves. Imagine not having that and relying totally on someone else to do that for you, right? That creates something called dependency. Okay, and that dependency leads to, it begins to form and create our number one biggest fear, which is abandonment. And abandonment and our needs not being met, equaling feeling abandoned, being abandoned, to a child, to a little kid, equals fear. It's the same meaning. It equals death. Okay, so that's the first factor. The second factor we need to understand is that all kids, all humans are born ego-centered, right? Egotistical. It's all about us. All about us. What that means is that we run our world, our life, based upon a belief system that the universe revolves around me. Everything is my fault. Now, when those needs that we have don't get met, and we get abandoned, we need to internalize that as kids, right? Or we don't need to, we just do by default, into a belief system that, hey, if I didn't get those needs met, the only logical thing that I can come up as a 2-month-old is that there's something wrong with me.
So what would you find would be that tipping point? So you mentioned when everything's about you and everything, the world's revolving around you.
Yep.
But we also mentioned that a majority of the world is people pleaser.
Yep.
So when is the tipping point when everything is about you versus everything about everyone else?
Yeah. I think you'll find that there's some 45-year-olds that still haven't got there. So it comes to a point when we have to do the work. And we understand, and we come to understand this. So we mentioned those two factors, right? The first one is that we're born totally helpless, and that leads to dependency, and the dependency leads to abandonment, right?
When you cry, your mum comes. When you're hungry, you cry. Your
Correct.
Mum comes. And then kind of when you get to school is when you feel and you get to like the primary school, or what's before primary school?
Kindergarten.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
not necessarily like when you cry or you're hungry, you want something.
Correct.
That's not to beck and call.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have these needs and it doesn't happen. The something that happens. So we've got, remember that totally helpless, ego-centered. Bring it together that when our needs don't get met, I internalize and I create a belief. Why wouldn't my needs get met? I must be bad. There must be something wrong with me, because otherwise I would have had my needs met. I would have felt loved. And in order when I get my needs met, I feel loved. I feel safe. I have my needs met, and the world is a safe place. So what do we do as we grow up and we have these abandonment experiences that feel like death to us? Is that we create a belief that I'm bad. There's something wrong with me. That's why that's not happening. Why is that important, right? And by the way, I call that toxic shame. It's the belief that there's something wrong with me. I'm not lovable. That I'm faulty in some way. I'm bad. We talk about self-worth in 2025 all the time. Guess what it is? It's not self-worth at all. The real thing, the core issue, is that it's toxic shame. It's the belief system that there's something wrong with me. And guess what happens after that? Because I have that core belief about myself through my abandonment experiences that there's something wrong with me, I don't want that to happen, and I want to get my needs met, and I want to feel loved, and want to have a problem-free life. So how am I going to do this? I have to become good. And I have more than that. I have to make sure that other people think that I'm good, and I have to please them so that I get my needs met. And this happened as a kid when you want the fucking monster truck like my son does, right? And then it happens with girls, and then it happens with a job, and then it happens with your mum and dad, and it happens with the economy, with the market. If they think I'm good, if they are pleased, then I will get 3 things. I will be loved, I will have my needs met, and then I will have a problem-free life. When I learned this, my mind went, holy fuck, this is me, right? And so what we do to grow up, especially in a society like this, is we pick up all these ineffective people pleasing patterns. My question is, does it work? When you please everyone else, when you have no boundaries, when you avoid conflict, when you don't say the wrong thing, when you don't swear, when you don't say actually what you want to say to keep someone else happy, does it work that you get the love that you want? Do you get your needs met? Do you have a problem-free life? No, the answer is no. It doesn't work. So what's wrong with being a nice guy? What's wrong with being a nice person?
You don't get your needs met.
Not only that, but actually, nice guys aren't truthful. They're liars. I told you guys, like, I'm a recovering peopleist. This is who I was. Nice guys are nice guys and girls. They're manipulators. Why? They can't say the truth. Why? Because if they say the truth and they reveal themselves real in their needs and wants, guess what? Someone will reject them. They can't have boundaries because they'll get abandoned. They don't want to have conflict because they'll get rejected. They can't go on social media and actually say what they want to say. Why? They'll get humiliated. See, we have 3 fears: the fear of rejection, the fear of humiliation, and the fear of abandonment. And those are the fears that keep someone shrinking in the little bit self instead of in the king self, in the greatest version of themselves. Why? Because your king self is so grounded that it doesn't fear rejection, humiliation, abandonment. Why? Because it's got himself or herself. And that's all we need. But when we're not integrated, we can either be nice guys, soft, sensitive, nice guys, or we can be jerk dictators, very hard to protect ourselves. But when we become integrated, we're not living in survival mode anymore. We're actually living on purpose and vision first. Yeah. And both of those are survival mechanisms, the 2 extremes. And so a lot of people think, the nice guy syndrome, it sounds good, but does that mean I need to become an arsehole? No, that's not what we're saying. Because the opposite of an extreme is what?
An extreme.
An extreme. Opposite of crazy is still crazy. So we're saying, come back home, come back to and be an integrated king and kick ass.
So if someone's identified those imperfections, how can they rectify that?
Yeah, first of all is awareness. Right? First of all is awareness. Second, we need help. Because you can't read the label from inside the bottle.
I like that.
You can't read the label from inside the bottle. You need some external hindsight. And so having someone that you can talk to and become aware of the toxic shame, we call them kind of episodes or attacks or whatever we want to, because they come up. And that toxic shame is a game changer. Total game changer. Because instead of looking at self-worth, look at that toxic shame, that core belief. That was my thing, guys. Like, that was me. Like, I was like, man, something wrong with me. I believed there was something wrong with me. And then I realized, you know what? I'm imperfectly perfect. I'm a dude like everyone else. I've got needs like everyone else. For men, it's like feels wrong to be a man in 2025, right? Masculinity is under attack when it's crazy.
What's causing that, you think? What's actually causing the attack on masculinity?
It's a whole other podcast.
So you want your first 3-hour podcast?
The question. But I'm interested because we talk about egotistical and arrogance, and there's a lot of these people in these red pill spaces at the moment. And I don't know, how do you differentiate yourself from being labelled as kind of like that red pill guy that's all about the masculinity and the mindset shift?
Yeah. I pick up on your language of this being labelled, right? So I'm not sure what's coming up for that. Get to a point where who gives a fuck who's labeling you up, right? It doesn't matter. When you know your intention, your integrity. I'm huge around integrity. Listening to your conscience, because if you're grounded and you say, "Hey, where's my intention? My intention in a good place. Do I want to take advantage of anyone else? No. Am I a force for good? Yeah. Okay, go lead that. So in a super quick, this could literally be another hour podcast. Where does that come from? We need to go back to how far back do we want to go?
Give us a high-level answer.
High-level answer would be the change in family dynamics and the rise of and with social causes, right? I love women. I believe in queen power. I want women to kick ass. I don't want them to be bitches and victims. I want them to kick ass. But like with any social cause, if you look at the how humans operate, we go from one extreme to the next, right? So we've gone from a form of masculinity that wasn't integrated, so that there's work to be done, and there was work to be done there, and then the rise of feminism has gone, and I think toxic feminism, and I might put a few noses out of joint, but I think it's the truth, that has gone completely the other end, where like all men are rapists and jerks and screw men forever, and so it becomes it's scary to be a man. Because if I have, in my opinion, and I don't want to, like, masculinity is not over anyone else. It's just, I mean, women have that masculine energy inside of them anyway. So, but it's actually been a grounded, assertive, safe man that actually leads with purpose and vision above pleasing, right? So there's been a big shift in that, and for a lot of men, it feels wrong to be a man. There's so many guys that are actually scared to speak up. Because, oh man, am I allowed to think that, to feel that? And the reality is, yeah, you are, and there's nothing wrong. But there's this bigger play with the media is huge, where it wants you to, I mean, it plays into certain forces to have really weak men, right? To have men that are not on purpose, that are not on vision. Why? Because men on purpose and vision in the king self are dangerous, not in a violent way, but in a way of shit. They're gonna make a change.
Can't be controlled.
They can't be controlled, right? And so it's I'm actually really big around that, and I just want people to have their personal power back. But that's not what society. That's not what the system wants.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have your personal power. They want you to be a little bitch, to be insecure, to not have your opinions, to stay quiet, right? And then what happens, right? Someone does cut down. Interesting, right? So it's scary, and that's why we need leaders. We need leaders that, again, don't come from a place of putting anyone else down, but to build yourself, build other people, build your teams, lead with integrity, with conscience, do the right thing at the right time. Not because of the accolades you're going to get on Instagram, but because it's the right fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's simple as that.
So how do I build? How do I build my king self?
Do hard shit every day. Watch yourself do hard shit every day.
But what if someone's feeling unmotivated and doesn't want to do it, and the world hates them? How can they get around that? No, because there's people out there that are like,
motivation doesn't exist.
He's like the discovery call with an ended.
Yeah. So what's say that again?
I'm just saying, like, what if you're saying about doing hard shit every day?
Yeah.
What if people are like unmotivated and they don't want to do the hard work?
Yeah. So
like,
that comes down to purpose. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't know what my purpose is."
Yeah. Okay.
Let's put this to rest once and for all.
Yeah.
Right? People confuse purpose because they think of their business purpose. Well, what's my purpose around work? No, it's different, right?
What if your values are the same as your business values?
Yeah, okay, we'll touch on that, right? And they should be. They should be the same. But you have a personal purpose and you have a vocational purpose, right? Your personal purpose is for you to become the best you can be. Full stop. That's it, right? Your business purpose is whatever you're passionate about and you want to create. Your values should be, your personal values should be your business values, because your business is a fruit of you, okay? So we say, someone that doesn't have the motivation. It's hard for me to relate to that, because I've always wanted to become the best version of me, and I've always realized that I wouldn't be able to fulfill my calling if I... Okay, let me little tangent. Double click on calling. Okay, I do these tangents all the time, but it's important, right? You talk to future leaders; they need to understand what their calling is. Your calling, right? It's connected to. If you look at the etymology, is that
astrology?
no, the beginning of the the meaning of the word, right? It's connected. Calling's connected to passion. Passion is basically suffering, but the word passion is connected to the word desire. That from the Latin, the word desire literally translates to of the Father, right? I don't know how spiritual you guys are, what your journey is, doesn't matter. Let's not make it religious. Let's make it spiritual, okay? Of the Father, which means that whatever you believe in, right, the Father has given you something. It's given to you, meaning that you're a steward, or you're in charge. You're carrying this thing that has been given to you, and your job is to carry it out. You don't need to have the answers. You just need to carry it out. And you need to become the best version of yourself, because in order for it to fulfill that, to make it the best that it can be, you need to be the best that you can be. So your purpose is to become the best you can be, right? So your motivation day to day is move your ass, get out there, do something, right? But do the hard thing. What's the hard thing for you right now? You guys are a certain level, I'm a certain level. My hard is different to your hard, right? 100%. So whatever your hard is, start. Like, is it hard to get off the couch and go do 5 push-ups? Do that. If you keep doing little hards every day, do you know how quick the growth is? It's insane, because then you tap into the law of attraction, law of vibration, law of momentum, law of reciprocity, all that kind of stuff. And then one thing leads to the next, and it's an avalanche. That's why I struggle with motivation. Right? I believe that if you're a leader, you shouldn't lack motivation. Right? And if you do lack motivation, maybe you're not on purpose. Maybe you're not clear about where you want to go. Maybe you don't have a plan. Right? And that. So, does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to know, you were bullied as a kid, and quickly let me know, what's your main target audience and age, if you had to round? Over 20?
Yeah, it's probably 27 to 57.
Okay. For the younger kids that are still growing up in high school and currently dealing with bullying, you've overcome the bullying, and a fair few people in the community have said, they were bullied as well, and they're some of the best businessmen and women in the space. I want to know, what's your advice and a mindset shift for the bullies that may be feeling affected at school, and how they can deal with it?
So is this a message for the bullies or the people being bullied?
Let's go for the people that have been bullied, and then let's give a message to the people that are bullies.
See, what happened for me is that I didn't feel okay as I was, and I had to change, and I had to survive. And I thought that the only way to survive was if I changed who I was and I fit in and I tried to be cool. That was the whole story of my childhood. I never felt good enough. I always felt, because I was the fat kid, because I couldn't run more than 2 seconds, got a stitch or things like that. So I had to change who I was. My advice would be, do hard shit. Do hard shit, right? Because what hard shit allows you to do is to watch yourself actually build respect for yourself, trust yourself, see your worth. And it's got to be the certainty, right? Self-trust, right? Because if you see yourself doing your hard things, whatever that is, your hard thing might be reading a book. I'm dyslexic, I can't read books. Also, read it, right? Because you'll understand. You will do your hard thing, right? Whatever your heart is, do that, because once you see yourself sitting your ass down, reading 10 pages of book, if it takes you 2 hours, you see it. And you go like, man, I feel fucking great about myself, right? I did it. I watched myself do it. All of a sudden you tolerate less, but your energy changes. You walk with a bit of a different kind of...
It's the suit effect, right?
Yeah. Of course,
effect,
right? So now people, and get strong, take care of yourself. Like, I truly believe that changes, and you're gonna tolerate less.
So you said at the beginning as well that when you were in your early 20s, you went through a very lonely phase. You were struggling to find how you can find credible information. I want to sort of touch on that. It's related a little bit to what we're talking about right now, is people in their 20s going through that stage where they are lonely, they are looking for credible information. How did you get through that? What did you do to overcome that? And what was that journey like for you, focusing on the lonely phase?
That's a good question. You gotta search for answers. And more than that, you have to be open for answers. Because when you're open to finding answers, you open yourself up to possibilities. And once you're moving, you have momentum. And if you're taking the first step, the second one's easy. And the third one's even easier. You just keep moving, right? So I'll come back to your purpose and your vision. Put that above everything else. See, when I was struggling with my people pleasing when I was 21, I always tried to fit in, always tried to be cool, and always tried to do what other people thought. And it took me away from actually the growth that would have really kind of... Asking questions is huge, right? If you go and ask questions and meet people, right? The advice that I always give to young people when at networking events is like, close your mouth. Ask questions. Ask questions. I still do that. Like, I'm in rooms now where I shut up and I just listen and I observe and I ask questions and I try and pick things up. And then as you keep moving, you will one door will open, then another one will open, and then you meet someone that knows something, and then you meet someone else and will introduce someone else. If you ask questions, you will begin to... I don't believe in age. Right, I remember.
It's just a number.
It is just a number. It's about the value that you bring. It's about who you are, right? And when you meet people that are actually successful and have been successful, they will open up their arms. They will advocate. As long as you're doing the work, and as long as you come prepared and you don't waste the time, and you ask good questions, they'll be more than open to it. And if you really value their time and their answers and all that kind of stuff, don't want to give more. And I believe it's in the fun part of the process is getting to that level, right? Getting to the level and just going through the shit. We all have to go through whatever new thing we're trying to do. We have to go through the shit to find the good. People start an online coaching business and think, oh, why don't I have 20 grand a month? And why do I speak to people that... no one wants to say yes. Welcome to the game, right?
Yeah.
That's the shit. We have to work through the shit because the shit does what? We call it the shit, right? Very elaborate terms. But the shit does what? It filters out, hey, who wants it? Who really wants it?
Yeah.
Can you go through that phase and surround yourself in communities like this, because then you meet someone that knows someone that will introduce you to someone else. And if you're abundant and you bring people in and you share and you add value and you connect other people, that'll come back to you as well.
Would you say that's your biggest networking tip is, 2 ears, 1 mouth? Listen before you talk.
Questions. Ask questions. Ask question. Learn, ask questions, try and be interested in other people. And that is probably the biggest one.
So everything we just went through then, when you started implementing that within yourself, how did business change?
It's actually quite emotional because it's changed big time in a real way.
That's awesome.
The reason for that was multiple. Number one was struggled big time financially, and then you see that transform and you see possibilities. The way that people, when people start taking you serious and they start seeing your value and you go, fuck, that feels good. Like now they're catching up to what I always knew, and they're starting to see that.
I'm going through that right
Huge,
at this point.
right? That's the beginning, right? I talked about self-trust and self-respect. You begin to feel so much more free, and you have your personal power back, and you just feel, I said it before, God mode, right? You start to feel like, man, I don't need to pull anything. I don't need to pretend anymore. I just can be me. And to me, the coolest thing is to do what you want, to have fun and get paid.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing, because I don't want to get paid by doing shit that I hate. I'm not good at it, right? But also I don't want to just do the shit that I have fun with and not get paid. If I can bring all those, and that's what and relationships got better.
To be fair, I've optimized like all three.
Yeah.
Videography, I love it. I enjoy it. It's like art for me. It is art. The fun is like I get to travel with clients. Like, I traveled all over the world. Like I think I spent more time last year overseas than I did at home. So I'm having fun. I'm exploring. I'm traveling. I'm doing these amazing experiences. I'm doing what I love, and ultimately, I'm getting paid.
Yeah,
and that was the best
imagine if you removed your ineffective people pleasing habits, where you would be.
See, I think it's major, and I bring something up personal for a second. I think you were so much of a people pleaser with the past person that you're working with. If you think,
I agree.
If you think back to all the struggles of how your business was going through, as soon as you did that mindset shift, and you decided, to transform your business from like that freelancer mentality to the company, I think you realized, okay, I need to stop pleasing this person.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you've brought that a lot as well, because instantaneously I was like, that's me. As soon as you started talking about people pleaser, and you're like, holy fuck, that's me. I had that same like.
There is nothing that stops this business and success process like it. Because as humans, those are such deep fears and part of the human condition that it's so easy for it to become. And when you break free, bro, I'm telling you, it just fucking crush life in the best possible way.
Going on a bit more of a personal tangent, I think the reason why I become so apologetic within my own work is because I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so fastidious in ensuring that it's perfect. Like, I won't post something unless it's like top tier.
And that's perfect.
Yeah.
But look at the way that you can do it. You can do it and have an absolute certainty and confidence, or you can go and just like, I just want to make sure everyone likes it, and I just want to keep you really happy. And when you keep your personal power back, people respect you. The quality of clients that will come into your life,
they don't walk all over you.
They will respect you. They will appreciate you. You'll be like, man, how do I get? You will live a dream life, right? The dream is to, as I said before, to work, like have fun with your work, make a lot of money, and go and wake up every morning and go like, holy shit, is this real life? And it's easy. It doesn't have to be hard, right? And you need to, and you will get to drop the need to hide who you really are, right? For me, I get to a point where I'm now like, hey, like, listen, this is who I am. I'm done changing me. I'm done. I get passionate and I swear, no problem. I don't care. I call shit out. Why? Because I'm like, I know for me that's the truth. I'm done covering it up, hiding it.
Yeah. You used to be you. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't, I'm actually at the point. I'm like, it's okay. It's all good if you don't like. I'm not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I know there are people that are going to resonate with this. That I'm like, that will be like, hey, I need some of that because I see so much of it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have, for me, having people that want to work with me instead of just always putting myself low because I need to chase money. That's the dream.
If you had to start everything all over again, you had to restart your businesses, what would you change? What would you do differently?
I would. It's such a good question. There's so much. Okay, what would I do? I would work on my money mindset. Right? I was looking at you. I would work on my money mindset.
Yeah.
I would work on my nice person syndrome. Right? And I would do as much as I could to heal my toxic shame, right, and turn it around, because then the money mindset is a result of that internal belief around being bad and not worthy, right? I would learn sales, the psychology of sales, and then I would get into rooms and meet people and build relationships. I had this kind of rush that had to happen now. Those are probably the biggest things that I would do. And then if I was 20, I'd probably go to the Forge and meet a lot of people and get along to the events.
May 2nd.
I want to know, honest opinion, what is your outside perspective as to what we are building here as a business and by providing value back to the next generation? So for someone that kind of had to find their own path and their own network, whereas, we're able to build something and people are able to come and have it right in front of them. What's your perspective on what we're building?
I love so much of what you guys are doing, and it's so needed. If you can keep bringing real, tangible, and I mean really real, tangible education, step by step on the work, on the key basics of what really is going to move the needle.
Yeah.
And what genuinely is going, and there's a few basics. I believe that it's mindset, sales, marketing, psychology of money, and being able to product and create offers and things like that. In majority of service-based businesses, that's it. The mindset piece, then you got self-leadership. If you can keep providing real, tangible value, build long-term, create a community of people that see the value, subscribe every month to be part of it, and they take real value, then you're going to create something that'll be a huge movement, and it will help people in a real massive way. You four are, I know I don't know how long it's been since for this podcast, but it's been really great. We spoke on the phone and to interact with you guys, understand and see your dynamic together. It's really great. And I genuinely hope you guys stick together and build something really significant for a very, very long time. Your journey will take, lots of twists and turns, and it will continue to unfold, which is great. So if you can create, especially with our team, when we run a coaching company, right? There's a gazillion coaching companies out there. Yeah. It's easy for us to get into competition with other people, but that was part of our toxic shame kind of thing, right? Never feeling good enough and comparing ourselves and being threatened, until we decided to create the best product that we could, right? Yeah. And I hope that happens with you guys. You continuously create the better product all the time, and provide real, genuine education and value, and help people just move the needle, and give them maybe that accountability or that kind of piece where actually say, hey, yeah, this is going to be cool, great events, we have lots of fun, but we're also making a big difference.
Right. Well, that's how the whole process has been, right? Like,
it's been...
It literally first started in the back of his house. There was like 10 people on a deck. Then it went to, 20 people in a room, then 40 people in the lounge room. And then that's when I jumped on board, and then we took it to Toa. And every single event, we're like, okay, cool, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
How can we take it to the next level? It's not like, okay, that was a good event, let's do it again. It's like, no, we're going that next step again. So we do all these like sheets, like feedback sheets.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Surveys, correct.
Yeah.
We do surveys every event. How can we improve?
You market it really well. The exposure's there. Getting to bigger and better rooms, in terms of like who you connect with and who you meet, right?
Yeah. Our plan, to be fair, is actually towards the end of this year is to start going interstate. We want to hit like Sydney and Melbourne. What do you think about that?
I think hell yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
100%. Build relationships. Connect with people that are down there, right? Yeah. I'm happy to introduce you to a bunch of people that you guys will really, really vibe with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And 100%. Melbourne and Sydney are a different energy as well from Queensland.
Oh yeah.
I moved up from Melbourne 2 years ago to the sunny coast, and it's a bit 15, 20 years behind in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So the vibe is there, the energy is there. There is a lot of people. Build as many relationships long term, and connect with as many people that are already doing it. Tap into them, add value to them in some way. Maybe you give them a chance to share, collaborate, do it together, whatever that might be. But that'll be a great way for you guys to do it for sure.
And I think that's the vision, right? Is how can we make the Future Leaders movement a global movement?
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear from you, Carlo. What is your vision? What is your purpose that you talk about that you need in order to play into or that you don't let your people pleasing
take over?
Yeah, take over. What is that vision for you?
Yeah. So we've got a couple of different things that we're trying to do. Number one is I want to fill everything that we do with great people. Number one. We have an events arm of what we do. I love speaking. I set myself a goal of speaking on 15 stages this year. We'll probably hit that, if not succeed it. And I don't know if you guys know anyone that runs events for young entrepreneurs or leaders or looking for speakers that man, I love to add value to. So one of our goals is to build. We run a mastermind event every single month that I love to see you guys at, where basically there's accountability, there's mindset, there's leadership, there's networking, but then there's also a business aspect. We want to build that to be a 500-person event every single month, that people show up, get their coaching, get their accountability, get their shot in the arm, and then go on and get results for the rest of the month, and then do it again and again and
What
again.
number are you sitting at the moment?
So we're going to crack about 120 for our May event. So 124 with you fellas.
Oh,
Right.
I'm there.
Yeah.
You know what you need? Some top tier videography.
Here we go. I love it. So that's what.
I'm curious. So you mentioned the business, the mindset.
Yep.
Why not any physicality in that sense? Because you said yourself, do hard shit.
Yep.
And majority of hard shit does become physical.
Yeah.
So I'm curious why you're not opting that
It's
direction.
simply just how we structure the day,
Yep.
and just a matter of how can we create the best experience there, and it's just a bit of a logistical kind of thing. But what we're doing is we're launching a men's leadership program, which that'll be a big focus, where we have retreats, and we take guys away and do stuff like that. So. Yeah, 100. Good question.
It all intertwines,
Yeah.
really, doesn't it? So if you're talking about mindset and kind of the different topics, it all lead into that physical aspect of best improving yourself, whether it's physically or mentally.
Correct.
Because this is the thing that Forge and the initial book club that we started, you actually don't... Oh, you might know a bit about that, not too sure. But it was founded off the 3 keys to success that Cam and I both came up with after reading Think and Grow Rich, which is your financial, your physical, and your mental.
Yeah.
They're your 3 keys to success.
Yeah.
And that's it's still stemming around that, which is incredible.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
yeah.
What book are you guys reading right now?
I'm reading Think and Grow Rich.
I'm reading
Think and Grow Rich.
buy back your time, dare my tell.
Okay. Yeah, great book.
Public speaking for dummies.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a book recommendation. Have you heard of Outwits in the Devil?
Yeah.
I
Heard of
haven't.
it.
Read it. It's
Absolutely.
top 3 books.
Yeah, well,
It's
okay.
amazing.
Really?
Yeah. It's gone straight to the top.
What is
Amazing.
What are they talking
Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
about? Oh, okay.
He interviews the devil.
Oh, well.
That's okay.
If
That's
you're watching, if you're listening, put it on your list. It'll blow your nuts off.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, coming back to your question, yeah. So the events is big. I also I don't know how much I can say, but we have an assistant coach is on our team, and we're going to grow his kind of work as well. And then there's 3 other ventures that I can't release information just yet. One will be for the financial professional space, for professional services space. The other one will be for personal trainers, and the other one is in elite sport. And we're about to, and there'll be an announcement in the next few days, which will
Amazing.
be very exciting. So.
But like, just quickly, I want to dive a little bit more deep. What is the purpose? They're like the arms that you're going to get there, but like, what is that overarching goal, vision that you have, that you want to achieve with those?
What's your definition of success?
My definition of success. My definition of success is fulfilling my purpose and vision.
What is that?
What is your purpose?
My purpose is to become the very best that I can be.
Mm-hmm.
And my vision is to create kings and queens all over the world, to speak on stages, to have our coaching programs full, to work with 2 to 3 professional teams every year, to have these couple other things that I was talking about, to be full, for our events to have 500 people every month on the Sunshine Coast, in Sydney and in Melbourne.
And if you were able to do that, what would that mean for you?
Tell you what, it would be my dream, because I'll be able to have fun, to do what I love and get paid. And then as a result of that getting paid, what that will mean for the impact, for the people for the young Carlos, for the young, chubby kids that grew up feeling that toxic shame and being captive of that people pleasing stuff and needing to be liked and to fit in and to hide their flaws and to be someone else instead of being true to themselves, to bring back that personal power. Whether that changes the world, whatever happens. But we give people their personal power back and help them become free and kick ass.
Yeah, awesome. So starting to wrap up now, who else would you want to see on this podcast next?
Oh, I love this question. Who I would love to see on this podcast. I'm going to introduce you guys to a really good friend of mine called AJ. I think he'll be great. And then I'm going to introduce you guys to a good buddy of mine just down the road, Dylan. I think it'll be great for you guys.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, for the viewers at home, where can people find you?
I was going to say something about... I was going to say in your mum's house. I just felt like...
The impulsive thought.
Intrusive thoughts. At your mum's house. So on Instagram, at the Kingmaker Coaching.
Mm-hmm.
On LinkedIn, if you guys do LinkedIn, at Carlo Kingcarini, but most likely on Insta, and then we'll connect and hit you up. And then if you want to give me a call, I'm happy to give you out my number. Just call me. I'll add value. Yep.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, I absolutely love this. I'm sure you guys did too.
Thank you.
Carlo Kingcarini, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.